Hi, I'm Lauren. I hope you get encouraged by the video and I hope you get something out of it. Don't forget to like and subscribe and enjoy it.
I want to piggyback off of what I did the week before. And I said we had 3 types of hurts. There was 3 types of things we were going to deal with. We were going to deal with hurt people. We were going to deal with hidden hurt. And then the last thing we dealt with was healed hurt. And I feel like I need to go a little bit more in depth with healed hurt, because I feel like I touched on it, but I don't feel like I touched on it enough. And so today, our whole message is going to be about healing the hurt that we have and going through and pretty much taking that out and replacing it with God. So if you want to check out Matthew chapter 14, Matthew chapter 14, and Matthew chapter 14, verse 26 through 31, it says this. It says, "But Jesus immediately said to them, 'Take courage, it is I. Don't be afraid.' 'Lord, if it's you,' Peter replied, 'tell me to come to you on the water.' 'Come,' he said. Then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came towards Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid and began to sink. He cried out, 'Lord, save me.' And immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. Jesus said, 'You have little faith. Why do you doubt?'" I want to camp on there's one verse, 14, verse 30, says, "But when he saw the wind, he was afraid and beginning to sink, and he cried out, 'Lord, save me.' And then immediately Jesus saved him." I want to talk about that part. That part I feel like is so special and it's so good, because you see that immediately when his perspective was taken off of Christ, he began to sink. And once he sunk and he realized he was sinking and he called on to Christ, Christ saved him. Whenever we're sinking and we're going through something, all we need to do is just call on to God. If we call on to God, God will come in and he will reach for us if we reach for him. It's not a matter of Peter didn't reach for him, because if Peter didn't reach for him, then Jesus wouldn't have reached for him. It's a matter of Peter called to God, or Peter called to Christ and asked Christ to help him, and he reached his hand out. Once he reached his hand out, that's when Christ saved. When we go and we actually go and we try to make a way to go towards Christ, we actually start reading our Bible, we actually start trying to get a relationship with him, that's us extending that hand. That's us extending that ourselves out in order for God to come and save us. And I believe that in this whole story wasn't just so that the disciples could write down and say, "Oh, this was such a crazy experience and all this and blah, blah, blah." No, but I believe this story had a purpose. And I believe that through his fear, it had a purpose and what was going to happen. I feel like a lot of stories like this about people going from falling to going to Christ, there's power in that. Even if you don't recognize it, even if you don't see it yet, there's always purpose in it. And whatever pain there is we go through, again, there's always purpose. No matter what it is, there's purpose in it. And I believe that God can use that for good. And so we all are going to experience pain. We already know that. I've said it multiple times in Matthew, and even says it in Matthew, that we are going to experience pain, point blank, that's it. But it's a matter of how we handle our pain. If we go and we try to hide our pain, how can we heal our pain if we hide our pain? You cannot heal your pain if you hide your pain. So, move it over here. So if you keep your pain hidden, you can't necessarily heal it, because you can't, or it's not being shown. And so in order for Peter to have been saved, he had to reach his hand out. He had to extend his hand. And so, let's see. One of the biggest things that I think happened with Peter as well. I'm not preaching today. I'm kind of just teaching. And I don't want to go and just be like, "And the Lord," no. I want to teach today, because teaching and preaching, they go hand in hand. But I want to teach you guys today, because I feel like preaching is good, but I feel like teaching is this better one-on-one thing. And I really want to make sure that we're getting this, because seniors, Riz just turned 18. It was great. But he's bald though, so he ain't that cool. But people like the seniors, they're getting older and they're going on to life, and they're like juniors, y'all are about to become seniors, and sophomores, you're about to become juniors, and 9th grade, we're gonna become 10th grade, and it's cool. But what hurt are you carrying from one season to the next that doesn't need to be carried any further than that season? You see what I'm saying? What are you carrying that you just need to let go of, you need to get rid of? That's why I'm teaching this. I'm not preaching this, I'm teaching this because I want to make sure we get this. Because if we go out and we live our lives in hurt, that's all you're going to live, hurt. If you go and you live and you try to heal what's happened to you, you know what kind of life you live? A healed life. People that that stay with their hurt and don't try and heal their hurt, live hurt lives. People that go and try to heal their hurt, live healed lives. And we see that with people that aren't following Christ, live lives of emptiness and trying to find something to fill that up and fill a void. But with people that are following Christ, they don't live a life of trying to want more and more and more of the world, but they live a life of I'm fulfilled, I'm at peace, if I'm hurt, it's okay because I know God's with me. That's the kind of life I'm trying to talk about. Because one of the things that Peter did whenever he was going and walking on the water was he was walking on the water, but instead of focusing on Jesus, he was focusing on the things around him. And I feel like a lot of us do that too. And as we're walking through life, instead of focusing on the thing that's going to give us purpose, that's going to give us strength, we focus on the things that are going to take us down and wreck us. See, Peter was walking on the water, and it said that he saw the floods, he saw the waves, he saw what was happening. He saw as the waves were beating against the boat. He saw all of that, and instead of focusing on Jesus, that was giving him the strength to walk on the water, he was going and looking at the things around him. If we look at the things around us and we don't focus on Christ, the strength that Christ is going to give you, you're not going to have the strength that Christ gives you. If you're focusing on the world, you know what kind of strength you're going to have? You're going to have the strength that the world gives you. And if you build your life on what the world is going to give you, if you build your life on the sand, if you build your life not on a solid rock, you're going to fall. And that's exactly what happens with Peter. He's not focusing on the thing that's solid. He's not focusing on the rock. He's focusing on the sand. He's focusing on the water. He's thinking of how this is possible rather than just the person that gives him strength. And so a lot of us, I think, end up denying growth instead of taking it. Because see, when Peter went through this, Peter was this really, what's the word? I'm trying to think of the word for it. We were just studying it in Bible class. We were talking about Peter. Peter was this person that just didn't think before he spoke. Like, he just kind of went and did it. Like, he chopped someone's ear off. He just literally said, like, shake, and just, like, tried to shake it. Dramatic. He was kind of dramatic. You know, like, he just saw someone and he just said, shake, you know, and just chopped someone's ear off. Like, he was the type of person, like, if you said something and he didn't like what you said, he taking his earrings out and he's, like, taking the wig out. He going. Like, he throwing hands. And so, I feel like in this situation, Peter had an opportunity to learn and grow. And an opportunity to focus on the things that were important in life and focus on the things and not focus on the things that weren't important. The thing that was important in that situation was staying and focusing on Jesus, not staying disconnected. And I think a lot of us go through the same types of things. Sometimes I feel like we're like Peter when we go through situations. And instead of learning and growing through that situation, we tend to do exactly what we just did in the past situation. Peter was supposed to focus on Jesus in order for him to stay afloat, and yet he was so focused on the things around him that he sank. A lot of us, again, are doing the same thing Peter did. Okay. Check out this verse, Genesis chapter 8, verse 1. It's from the NIV version. It's about Noah, and it said, "But God remembered Noah and all the wild animals and the livestock there with him, and the ark, and he sent a wind over the earth, and the waters receded." See, I went back to this because there's two types of storms you can go through. You can go through a storm by yourself, disconnected, or you can go through a storm with God connected. When Noah went through a storm, he went through a storm much bigger and much greater than what Peter went through. But it was a matter of who his relationship was with. If your relationship is firm on God, the storms are going to be bigger than what it would be without God. But it's a matter of who you're relying on. And we see that Noah was focused on God. He was relying on God. And because he was relying on God, even though the storm was bigger, he knew that God was going to remember him. And we see this. It says, "But God remembered Noah." But God remembered what God was with him in this. Now, I'm not saying that God wasn't with Peter. But what I'm saying is the storms were both, the Noah storm was bigger than the Peter storm. But yet, Noah wasn't complaining as much. You see what I'm saying? Noah wasn't as shaken because his faith was so steady. And I think a lot of us, in order for our faith, or not our faith, our hurt to heal, we have to have faith. If your faith isn't strong, how do you expect to go through life or how do you expect to go through life just in general? If you don't have faith, you can't see what God is getting ready to do. And so some of us right now are looking for some sort of hope. And I'm here to tell you that over time, if you read and you look at the end of the verse of Genesis chapter 8, verse 1, at the end of the verse, it said, "And the waters receded." Now let me tell you that if you just step into a time of faith, if you have faith in Christ, I'm telling you the storm waters will recede. I'm telling you that the pain is going to go. I'm telling you that whatever valley you're walking through, you're going to be back on the mountains again. I'm telling you that if you just stick with God, it's not going to hurt as much. And in fact, it's probably the pain will pretty much just disappear because you have faith in God. Let's pray. Dear God, I thank you for this day. Thank you for you bless us with. God, I pray for all the people in this room that are struggling with pain. God, I pray that you just help us heal, help us walk through life. God, I pray for the seniors that are graduating this year. God, I pray that as they go through life, that they don't take the past pain with them, but they go and they heal the past pain and they can become healed people, living